I stood frozen as my husband's grip tightened around my neck in his sleep. Lucas Blackwood, billionaire, shark, and the man I'd married 4 hours ago, wasn't dreaming of our wedding night. He was gasping for the name of the woman who destroyed his empire 7 years ago. My name. Not Elena, the innocent bride, but the alias I used to leak his company's secrets. I'm the ghost he's been hunting for a decade, and I just signed a marriage license that puts me right in his line of fire. He wants revenge. I just want to stay alive. That was a gripping setup. Would you like me to continue writing Scene 4, or should we develop a high-stakes confrontation between Elena and Marcus? I stood frozen outside the bedroom door, my hand halfway to the handle, listening to my husband's voice drift through the crack. I don't care how long it takes. Marcus, find her. The woman who leaked those documents 7 years ago destroyed everything I'd built. When I find her, I will personally make sure she loses everything she loves. My blood turned to ice. Lucas Blackwood, my husband of exactly 4 hours, was talking about me. He just didn't know it yet. Run the digital forensics again, Lucas continued, his voice cold and controlled. Somewhere in that data is a pattern, a mistake. Everyone makes mistakes eventually. And when she does, I'll be waiting. I stepped back from the door, my wedding dress suddenly feeling like a noose. The delicate lace that had seemed so beautiful this morning now felt like a costume for a lie I could never escape. This was supposed to be simple. A business arrangement. Lucas needed a wife for his merger with Chen Industries. Some archaic requirement his late father had written into the company bylaws. I needed protection from the Valdez family, who'd been hunting me for information I didn't have. A marriage of convenience. No emotions, no complications. Except now I knew the truth. I hadn't escaped my past by marrying Lucas Blackwood. I'd walked straight into the arms of the man who wanted to destroy me. The door opened suddenly. Lucas stood there in his dress shirt, sleeves rolled up, looking at me with those piercing gray eyes that had convinced half of Wall Street to hand him their money. Elena, I didn't hear you knock. I was just giving you privacy. My voice came out steadier than I felt. He studied me for a moment, and I wondered if he could see the guilt written across my face. And if he could sense that the woman he'd been hunting for 7 years was standing 3 feet away in a wedding dress. "Come in," he said, stepping aside. "We should talk about the arrangement." I walked past him, hyper-aware of every movement. The room was immaculate, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan, minimalist furniture, everything in shades of gray and black, just like Lucas himself. Cold, controlled, dangerous. "The marriage contract is clear," Lucas said, pouring himself a drink. "We maintain separate bedrooms, public appearances as needed. No interference in each other's personal lives." "And how long does this arrangement last?" 18 months. After that, we can divorce quietly. You'll receive the settlement we agreed upon, and the Valdez family will have moved on to other targets. He said it so clinically, like we were negotiating a business deal, which I suppose we were. "And if one of us wants out sooner?" I asked. "Then we renegotiate." He took a sip of his whiskey. "But I'd advise against it. I don't do well with broken contracts, Elena." The way he said my name sent a chill down my spine. "I understand." "Good." He set down his glass. "There's one more thing. I run background checks on everyone in my life. It's not personal, it's protection. Your file came back clean, but there are gaps. 7 years ago, you disappeared for 6 months. No employment records, no credit card transactions, nothing. My heart hammered against my ribs. I was traveling, I said carefully. Southeast Asia. I needed time to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Alone? Yes. No social media posts? No photos? No digital footprint whatsoever? I wanted to disconnect. Is that a crime? He studied me with those calculating eyes. No, but it's unusual. People your age document everything. I'm not like most people my age. I'm starting to realize that. He moved closer, and I forced myself not to step back. You're hiding something, Elena. I don't know what it is yet, but I will find out. There's nothing to find. Everyone has secrets. His voice dropped. The question is whether yours will become my problem. I met his gaze, refusing to look away. My secrets are my own, Lucas. That was part of our agreement. No interference in personal lives. Fair enough. He stepped back. Your room is across the hall. The household staff will help you settle in tomorrow. For tonight, get some rest. We have a charity gala on Friday. And I need my wife to look presentable. The dismissal was clear. I turned to leave, then paused at the door. Lucas? Yes? That phone call earlier? The person you're looking for? What if you never find them? His expression darkened. I always find what I'm looking for, Elena. Always. It's just a matter of time. I nodded and walked out, closing the door behind me. In the safety of my own room, I finally let myself breathe. 7 years ago, I'd made a choice that destroyed Lucas Blackwood's first major real estate development. I'd leaked documents proving his company was using fraudulent appraisals to secure loans that would have bankrupted dozens of small businesses, including my father's construction company. I'd done it to save my family, to stop something wrong. But Lucas had taken the fall. Lost millions. I spent years rebuilding his reputation. And now, I'd married him. I looked at the wedding ring on my finger, a simple platinum band that probably cost more than my entire education. What have I done? I whispered to the empty room. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Saw the wedding photos. Congratulations, Mrs. Blackwood. Does he know who you really are? Emma. Marcus, Lucas's head of security. My hands shook as I deleted the message. 18 months. I just had to survive 18 months without Lucas discovering the truth. Then I could disappear again. I could start over. Another text. Sleep well, Elena. Tomorrow we begin investigating your past. Lucas wants answers, and I always deliver. Empfetter in. Tretter Sauser Eider. I turned off my phone and stared at the ceiling. I'd married the one man in the world who wanted to destroy me, and he had no idea I was sleeping across the hall. If you're new to this channel, subscribe and don't forget to rate our story from 0 to 10 and tell us the country you're watching from. 7 years ago. The copy machine hummed in the empty office as I fed another document through, my hands shaking so badly I could barely hold the pages. 2:47 a.m. Everyone had gone home hours ago. Everyone except me. The intern. Nobody noticed. The girl who stayed late to finish filing because she needed this job more than she needed sleep. But tonight, I wasn't filing. Tonight, I was committing corporate espionage. Come on. I muttered as the machine processed another page of financial records. Records that proved Blackwood Development was using inflated property appraisals to secure construction loans. Records that proved they were committing fraud. I'd stumbled onto them by accident 3 days ago, misfiled in a cabinet I was reorganizing. At first, I didn't understand what I was looking at. But my father had been in construction for 30 years. I knew enough to recognize something was wrong. The properties Blackwood Development claimed were worth $50 million were actually worth half that. They were using fake appraisals to get massive loans from banks. And when those properties were developed, the contractors, including my father's company, would be left holding worthless paper. My father would lose everything. 20 other small businesses would lose everything. And Lucas Blackwood, the 25-year-old golden boy of New York real estate, would walk away with millions. The machine beeped. Done. I gathered the copies with trembling hands and shoved them into my bag. Then I carefully returned the originals to the file, exactly as I'd found them. My phone buzzed. A text from my father. "How's the internship going, Misha? I'm so proud of you working for such a prestigious company." Tears burned my eyes. He didn't know. None of them knew that in 3 months, when Blackwood's loans came through and construction started, they'd all be ruined. Unless I did something. I walked out of the office building into the cold November night, clutching my bag against my chest. At home, I spread the documents across my tiny apartment floor and stared at them for hours. If I leaked this information, I'd destroy Lucas Blackwood's company. I'd lose my internship. I'd probably never work in New York real estate again. But if I didn't, my father would lose his business, his house, everything he'd worked for. I pulled out my laptop and created an anonymous email account. And then I attached scanned copies of every document and wrote one sentence. "Blackwood Development is committing loan fraud. The proof is attached. Please investigate before innocent people are hurt." I sent it to the SEC, the FBI's Financial Crimes Division, 3 major newspapers. Then I hit delete on the email account, smashed my SIM card, and threw my phone in the Hudson River. 3 days later, the news broke like a bomb. Blackwood Development under federal investigation for loan fraud. 30-year-old CEO Lucas Blackwood faces criminal charges. Real estate empire crumbles. Investors pull millions. I watched from my apartment as Lucas gave a press conference, his young face tight with barely controlled rage. "These allegations are completely false," he said, his voice steady despite the cameras flashing. Someone has deliberately sabotaged this company with fabricated documents. When I find out who did this, I will pursue them to the fullest extent of the law." A reporter shouted, "Mr. Blackwood, sources say the FBI has verified the documents are authentic." And someone inside my company betrayed me. His gray eyes blazed with fury. "And I promise you this, I will find them. I will destroy them, no matter how long it takes." I turned off the TV with shaking hands. 2 days later, the SEC cleared Lucas of criminal charges. The investigation revealed he'd been unaware of the fraud, which had been orchestrated by his CFO and head of acquisitions. Both men were arrested, but the damage was done. Investors pulled out. Projects collapsed. Blackwood Development went from a $200 million valuation to bankruptcy in 6 weeks. and Lucas Blackwood's reputation was shattered. I watched it all from a distance, guilt eating me alive. Yes, I'd stopped the fraud. Yes, I'd saved my father's company and 20 others. But I'd also destroyed a man who, it turned out, had been as much a victim as anyone else. My father called me one evening, his voice jubilant. "Elena, did you hear? That Blackwood deal fell through. We're not taking that contract anymore. Thank God. Something felt wrong about it from the start." "Yeah, Dad. I heard." "You sound tired, Misha. That internship working you too hard?" "Something like that. I quit the internship the next day, left New York, spent 6 months in Southeast Asia trying to outrun my guilt. But you can't outrun the truth. And 7 years later, I walked right back into it wearing a wedding dress. I subscribe. Because the truth isn't as simple as betrayal. Present day. The charity gala was exactly what I expected. Excessive wealth disguised as philanthropy, designer dresses competing for attention, and enough champagne to float a yacht. I stood beside Lucas in a silver gown that cost more than my rent used to be, playing the role of the perfect wife. "Smile," Lucas murmured without looking at me. "Chen is watching." I arranged my face into something pleasant as Harrison Chen, Lucas's business partner, approached with his wife. "Lucas! And the beautiful bride!" Chen shook Lucas's hand warmly. "Congratulations again. I must say you kept this one secret." "Elena prefers privacy," Lucas said smoothly. "It's one of the things I admire about her." If only he knew. We made small talk for 10 minutes, the kind of meaningless conversation that rich people excel at. Then Chen's wife pulled me aside. "My dear, you must tell me everything. How did you two meet?" I'd rehearsed this story a dozen times. "Through mutual friends. It was very low-key." "How refreshing. And what do you do?" "I work in nonprofit consulting, helping small businesses with sustainable development strategies." It was technically true. After my months of running, I'd rebuilt my life doing exactly that, helping the kind of companies I'd saved 7 years ago. "How noble." She sipped her champagne. "Though I imagine you'll be quite busy now as Mrs. Blackwood. Lucas's social calendar is legendary." "I'm sure we'll find a balance." Across the room, I saw Marcus, Lucas's head of security, watching me with unsettling intensity. When our eyes met, he didn't look away. He knows something. My phone buzzed. I excused myself and checked the message. "Private garden, 5 minutes. We need to talk. M." My stomach dropped. I found Marcus waiting by a fountain, his expression unreadable in the dim lighting. "Mrs. Blackwood. Enjoying the gala?" "What do you want, Marcus?" "Straight to business, I like that." He pulled out a tablet. "I've been running background checks as Mr. Blackwood requested. Your story checks out. Mostly." "Mostly?" "Your employment history has a convenient gap. 6 months, 7 years ago. You say you were traveling in Southeast Asia." "I was." "Then why can't I find any record of you leaving the country? No passport stamps, no visa applications, no flight manifests with your name." My heart hammered. Maybe you're not looking hard enough. Or maybe you were right here in New York hiding." He swiped through screens. "The leak that destroyed Blackwood Development happened 7 years ago. 3 days later, Elena Rodriguez, that's you, quit her internship and disappeared. Interesting timing. Coincidence." I don't believe in coincidences. He stepped closer. Here's what I think. You know something about that leak. Maybe you were involved. Maybe you're protecting someone. Either way, Lucas deserves to know who he married. Are you threatening me? I'm doing my job. Protecting Lucas from people who might hurt him. His voice dropped. And if you're one of those people, Mrs. Blackwood, you should be very afraid. Because Lucas doesn't forgive betrayal. Ever. I haven't betrayed anyone. Yet. He pocketed his tablet. But I'll be watching. Every move, every call, every breath, and when I find proof, and I will find proof, Lucas will destroy you. He walked away, leaving me shaking in the garden. I pulled out my phone with trembling hands and typed a message to the only person who might help me. It's Elena. I need to disappear again. He's getting too close. The response came 30 seconds later. You can't run this time. You're married to him. You're trapped. J. Julia. My only friend from those days. The only person who knew the full truth. She was right. I couldn't run. Not without raising more suspicions. I had to face this. I walked back into the gala, searching for Lucas. I found him on the balcony, alone, staring at the city lights. There you are, he said without turning. Marcus said you needed air. I'm fine. Are you? He finally looked at me. You seem nervous tonight. Distracted. It's been a long week. Getting married, moving into your penthouse, meeting your world. My world. He smiled without humor. Is that how you see it, as something separate from you? Isn't it? For now. He moved closer. But you're part of this world now, Elena. My world. And everything in my world, I protect. The way he said it sent chills down my spine. Lucas, can I ask you something? Of course. That leak 7 years ago. The one that destroyed your first company. Do you still think about it? His expression darkened. Every day. But the people responsible were caught. Your CFO. Your acquisitions director. They were the executors. But someone gave the information to the authorities. Someone inside the company who knew exactly what documents to leak and when. His jaw clenched. That person is still out there. And they didn't do it out of justice. They did it to destroy me specifically. That's personal. That's someone who wanted to see me fail. Maybe they had a reason. There's no reason good enough to destroy someone's life. He looked at me intently. If someone did that to you, ruined everything you'd built, cost you everything you'd worked for, wouldn't you want revenge? My throat tightened. I don't know. I do. His voice turned to steel. I'd hunt them down. I'd make them feel every ounce of pain they caused me. I'd take everything from them just like they took everything from me. And if they had a good reason, if they were protecting someone, then they should have come to me, talked to me, given me a chance to fix it. He turned away. Instead, they chose to be a coward, and cowards deserve what they get. I stood there, frozen, as his words cut through me. He was right. I had been a coward. I should have confronted him, told him what his executives were doing, given him a chance. But I'd been 22 and terrified and convinced he was part of the fraud. Lucas, Elena, I need to ask you something and I want the truth. My heart stopped. Okay. The gaps in your background, the missing 6 months. Marcus thinks you're hiding something. Marcus is paranoid. Marcus is thorough. And he's never wrong. Lucas stepped closer. So I'm asking you directly, is there something about your past that I should know? Something that might come back to hurt me? Hurt us? This was it. My chance to tell the truth. To confess? To explain. But if I did, everything would fall apart. The marriage, the protection, my life. No, I whispered. There's nothing. He studied my face for a long moment, and I was certain he could see the lie written across my features. Then he nodded. Good, because I'm starting to care about you, Elena. Against my better judgment. Against all logic. I'm starting to care. And if I found out you'd been lying to me about something important— He didn't finish the sentence. He didn't have to. Subscribe. Because secrets don't stay buried this close. 3 months later, something had shifted between us, though neither of us acknowledged it. Late-night conversations in the kitchen when neither of us could sleep. Shared glances across boardrooms. The way his hand would linger on the small of my back at public events. We were supposed to be strangers in a business arrangement, but somewhere along the way, we'd become something else. I was in Lucas's home office reviewing contracts for his latest development project when he walked in looking exhausted. "You're still up," he said, loosening his tie. "The Singapore deal closes tomorrow. I wanted to make sure everything was perfect." "You don't have to do that. You're not my employee." "No, I'm your wife. Isn't that worse?" He smiled, a real smile that transformed his entire face. "Much worse." He poured 2 glasses of whiskey and handed me one. We'd developed this ritual over the past month. Late-night drinks, comfortable silence, the kind of intimacy that had nothing to do with sex. "Can I ask you something personal?" I said. That depends on the question. After your company collapsed 7 years ago, how did you survive? How did you rebuild?" His expression darkened. "Why do you want to know?" "Because you did it. You lost everything and came back stronger. That takes something most people don't have." He sat down across from me, swirling his whiskey. "You want the truth? I survived because I was angry, furious. Every morning I woke up and promised myself I'd rebuild everything I'd lost. And then I'd find the person who destroyed me, and I'd make them pay. Revenge kept you going. Revenge gave me purpose." He met my eyes. "Do you know what it's like to lose everything overnight? To watch something you built from nothing crumble because someone decided you didn't deserve success?" "Yes," I whispered. "And I do." The words slipped out before I could stop them. "You do?" He leaned forward. "What happened?" I couldn't tell him the truth, but I could tell him something close. "My father had a construction business, small, family-owned. He worked 70-hour weeks for 30 years building it. Then a development company tried to use his business as collateral for a fraudulent loan scheme. If it had gone through, he would have lost everything." Lucas's expression shifted. "What stopped it?" "Someone leaked information about the fraud. The deal fell apart. My father's business was saved. And the development company? Destroyed. The CEO lost everything." Understanding dawned in Lucas's eyes. "Your father was one of the contractors connected to Blackwood Development." I said nothing, which was answer enough. So the person who leaked those documents saved your father?" "Yes. And destroyed me in the process." Yes. He stood and walked to the window, his back to me. Do you think they were wrong? The person who leaked the information? I think they were trapped. They saw people they loved about to be hurt, and they made the only choice they could see. By destroying someone else. By stopping something wrong. I stood, moving closer. Lucas, your CFO was committing fraud. People were going to be hurt. I didn't know about the fraud. He spun around, his voice sharp. I was 25 years old, trying to build something real, and my executives were lying to me. If someone had come to me, if they'd given me proof, I would have fired them myself. I would have cooperated with the investigation. You were the CEO. You were responsible. I was the scapegoat. Pain flashed across his face. Everyone assumed I knew, that I was in on it. For 2 years, no bank would give me a loan. No investor would return my calls. I had to rebuild from nothing, with everyone believing I was a criminal. Guilt crushed my chest. I'm sorry. Why? You didn't do it. I looked away, unable to meet his eyes. Elena. His voice softened. Come here. I didn't move. He crossed the space between us and gently tilted my chin up. I shouldn't have snapped at you. This isn't your fault, it's just that time in my life was dark. And sometimes I forget that the person who leaked those documents probably had reasons. Probably wasn't trying to destroy me specifically. If only he knew. Do you still want revenge? I asked quietly. I did. For years, it was all I thought about. His thumb traced my cheekbone. But lately I've been thinking about other things. Like what? Like the fact that my fake wife makes better business decisions than half my board. Like the way you argue with me about everything except things that actually matter. Like the fact that I've started looking forward to coming home, which is something I never expected. My breath caught. Lucas! I know this wasn't supposed to be real. I know we agreed on 18 months and then freedom. His voice dropped. But what if I don't want freedom anymore? What if I want you? You don't mean that? I never say things I don't mean. He moved closer, and I could smell his cologne, feel the heat of his body. Tell me you don't feel this too. Tell me I'm imagining it. I couldn't. Because I did feel it. And despite everything, despite the lies and the guilt and the secrets, I'd fallen for him. This is a mistake, I whispered. Probably. His lips hovered inches from mine. But I've built an empire on calculated risks. And you, Elena Blackwood, are the riskiest investment I've ever considered. What if I'm not worth it? What if you are? He kissed me, and the world fell away. It was soft at first, tentative, like we were both afraid of breaking something fragile. Then it deepened, becoming something desperate and hungry and real. I kissed him back, pouring 7 years of guilt and longing and terrible, impossible love into that moment. When we finally broke apart, we were both breathing hard. Elena, he murmured against my lips, tell me your secrets. All of them. Let me know you. The words shattered the moment like glass. I can't, I whispered. Why not? Because if I do, you'll hate me. That's impossible. You don't know that. Then help me understand. He cupped my face in his hands. Whatever you're hiding, we can face it together. Tears burned my eyes. No, we can't. Why not? Because, My phone buzzed. Then again, and again. I pulled away, checking the screen. 7 missed calls from Marcus, 3 texts, each more urgent than the last. We found something. You need to see this. Elena, this is important. I know who leaked the Blackwood documents, and I know why. Call me. Now. The blood drained from my face. Elena? What's wrong? I need to go. Go where? It's 2 in the morning. I need air. I need to think. I grabbed my coat and rushed toward the door. Elena, wait! I didn't wait. I couldn't. Because Marcus had found something. And if he'd figured out the truth, then everything was about to explode. I made it to the elevator before Lucas caught up with me. Elena, talk to me. You're scaring me. I'm sorry, I said, tears streaming down my face. I'm so sorry, Lucas. Sorry for what? The elevator doors opened. For everything. I stepped inside, and the doors closed on his confused, concerned face. I called Marcus from the lobby. What did you find? Not over the phone. Meet me at the office in 20 minutes. Marcus, 20 minutes, Elena. And bring a lawyer. You're going to need one. The line went dead. I stood on the sidewalk in the cold night air, watching my breath fog in front of me. 7 years. I'd hidden the truth for 7 years. And tonight it was all coming apart. Subscribe, because love just became the most dangerous lie. Marcus's office was cold and sterile, filled with monitors and hard drives and the tools of modern surveillance. He sat behind his desk, a file folder in front of him, looking grim. Sit down, Elena. I remained standing. Just tell me what you found. Elena Rodriguez, 22 years old, intern at Blackwood Development. He opened the folder. You were there, in the building, the night the documents were accessed and copied. That doesn't prove security footage. He turned a monitor toward me. We pulled it from archived files. Storage room 4B, 2:47 a.m., November 18th, 7 years ago. The screen showed grainy black and white footage of a young woman at a copy machine. Me. The IT department also recovered deleted emails from that night. Burner account. Sent to the SEC, a FBI, and 3 newspapers. The IP address traces back to your apartment. I couldn't speak, couldn't move. You destroyed Lucas's company. You're the person he's been hunting for 7 years. Marcus stood. And then you married him. Jesus Christ, Elena, what were you thinking, Awa? I was thinking I could keep him safe from the Valdez family. I was thinking. You were thinking you could hide. His voice turned cold. Does he know? No. Are you going to tell him? I don't know. Well, you better figure it out. Because I'm meeting with Lucas in 1 hour and I'm showing him this file. He deserves to know who he married. Marcus, please. Please what? Keep lying to him? Let him think his wife is someone she's not? He shook his head. I've known Lucas for 15 years. I watched him lose everything and claw his way back. I watched him become obsessed with finding the person who betrayed him. And now I find out it's you. The woman he's falling in love with. He's not. He is. Don't you see it? The way he looks at you? The way he's changed over the past 3 months? Marcus's expression softened slightly. You're destroying him all over again. And this time it's going to be so much worse. I sank into a chair, my legs finally giving out. I never meant to hurt him. 7 years ago, I was trying to save my father. I didn't know Lucas wasn't involved in the fraud. You thought he was guilty, and you didn't bother to find out the truth before you ruined him. I was 22. I was terrified. My father was going to lose everything. So you made sure Lucas lost everything instead. Marcus closed the file. I understand why you did it. I even respect it in a way. You were protecting your family. But you should have come forward after. You should have told the truth when the investigation cleared Lucas. I was scared. You're still scared. That's why you married him. Not just for protection from Valdez, but because you thought you could make up for what you did. You thought if you helped him now, it would erase the past. He was right. Every word was like a knife. But he was right. What happens now? I whispered. Now you tell Lucas the truth. Before I do. He needs to hear it from you. He'll destroy me. Probably. Marcus's voice wasn't unkind. But you destroyed him first. This is just a bill coming due. I went home, his home, and waited. Lucas arrived an hour later, his face a mask of ice. Is it true? I stood in the living room, my entire body shaking. Lucas. Marcus showed me everything. The footage, the emails, the timeline. He stepped closer, and I'd never seen anyone look so betrayed. Tell me it's not true. Tell me you're not the person who destroyed my company. I wanted to lie. God, I wanted to lie so badly. But I'd been lying for 7 years. It's true. The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Lucas's face went blank, empty, like someone had switched off all his emotions. Get out. Lucas, let me explain. Get out of my house. Get out of my life. Get the hell away from me. Please, just listen. Listen? His voice rose, raw and full of rage. You want me to listen? To what? To how you systematically destroyed everything I'd built? To how you leaked documents that cost me millions and my reputation? To how you let me think I'd failed when you were the one who sabotaged me? Your executives were committing fraud. They were going to hurt people. I didn't know. Each word was punctuated with barely controlled fury. I was the victim of their fraud, too. But you didn't care. You didn't bother to find out the truth. You just decided I was guilty and pulled the trigger. I was trying to save my father, so you sacrificed me instead. He laughed, the sound bitter and broken. And then 7 years later, you married me. You lived in my house, slept across the hall, let me fall in love with you, knowing the entire time what you'd done. I wanted to tell you. When? After you'd completely destroyed me? After you'd made me care about you so much that learning the truth would finish what you started 7 years ago? Tears streamed down my face. I never wanted to hurt you. You're still doing it. He turned away, his shoulders rigid. I trusted you, Elena. I opened up to you. I told you things I've never told anyone. And the whole time, you were lying. Not about everything. Not about how I feel. Don't. He spun back, his eyes blazing. Don't you dare tell me you love me. Don't you dare pretend any of this was real. It was real. Lucas, I know I don't deserve forgiveness. I know what I did was wrong. But these past 3 months, getting to know you, falling for you, that was real. You don't fall in love with someone you're lying to. You fall in love with the fantasy you've created to justify your guilt. He moved to the door and opened it. You have 1 hour to pack your things and get out. After that, security will remove you. What about the marriage? My lawyers will file for annulment in the morning. Fraud is grounds for immediate dissolution. And the Valdez family, they'll come after me? Not my problem anymore. His voice was cold as ice. You wanted to face the consequences of your actions 7 years ago? Here they are. Welcome to the fallout. Lucas, please. 1 hour, Elena, then I never want to see you again. He walked out, leaving me standing in the wreckage of everything I'd built and destroyed. I packed slowly, crying the entire time. Every dress he'd bought me, every book from his library I'd borrowed, and every small piece of a life I'd never really had. As I was leaving, I saw Marcus in the hallway. He's in his office, Marcus said quietly. Hasn't moved in 2 hours. Marcus looked at me with something like pity. He's in his office. Hasn't moved in 2 hours. Just sitting there in the dark. Is he going to be okay? Eventually. Lucas always survives. He paused. But this broke something in him. I hope you know that. I do. I wiped my eyes. Will you tell him I'm sorry? That I never wanted. He doesn't want to hear it from me. And he definitely doesn't want to hear it from you. I nodded and walked toward the elevator. Elena, I turned back. For what it's worth, I think you were just a kid who made a terrible choice trying to protect someone you loved. But that doesn't change what it cost him. Or what it's costing you now. The elevator doors opened and I stepped inside. As they closed, I caught one last glimpse of Lucas's office door. Closed, dark, silent, just like the future I'd destroyed. Subscribe, because heartbreak isn't the end. It's the beginning of something worse. Tata 2 weeks later. I'd been staying with Julia in her cramped studio apartment, barely eating, barely sleeping, just existing in the hollow space where my life used to be. The Valdez family had indeed come looking for me. I'd had to move twice already, always one step ahead of their people. But that wasn't what kept me up at night. Lucas's face haunted me. The betrayal, the rage, the brokenness underneath it all. I'd destroyed him twice, and the second time was so much worse. Julia came home one evening with groceries and a newspaper. You need to see this. The headline made my blood run cold. Blackwood Industries under hostile takeover. Chen Industries pulls out of merger. I grabbed the paper, reading frantically. Without the marriage to satisfy the company bylaws, Lucas had lost leverage. Chen Industries had withdrawn from the partnership, and now a group of hostile investors were making a move to buy controlling shares. Lucas stood to lose everything. Again. Because of me. Again. This is my fault, I whispered. Yes, Julia said bluntly. It is. So what are you going to do about it? What can I do? He won't even take my calls. Then stop calling. Start acting. She pulled out her laptop. I did some digging. The hostile takeover is being led by someone named Richard Valdez. My stomach dropped. No. Yes. Apparently, the Valdez family has been waiting for an opportunity to get revenge on Lucas for some business deal that went south 3 years ago. Your marriage falling apart gave them the opening they needed. So they're using me to destroy him. They're using your guilt and your absence to destroy him. There's a difference. I stared at the newspaper, my mind racing. 7 years ago, I'd leaked documents to save my father. 2 weeks ago, I'd lost Lucas because of those same documents. And now, because I'd married him and then left him, I was going to cost him everything a third time. "I have to fix this," I said. "How?" "I don't know. But I can't let him lose his company because of me. Not again." It took me 3 days to get the evidence I needed. The Valdez family had been careful, but not careful enough. They'd been manipulating stock prices, bribing board members, and using insider information to coordinate their takeover. All illegal. All provable. I compiled everything into a file and sent it to the SEC, the FBI, and every financial journalist I could find. Then I did something harder. I wrote a public statement and released it to every major news outlet. 7 years ago, I leaked documents that led to the investigation of Blackwood development. Lucas Blackwood was cleared of all wrongdoing, but his company and reputation were destroyed. I am the person responsible for that leak. I did it to protect my family from fraud I believed Mr. Blackwood was part of. I was wrong. He was a victim, not a perpetrator. And I have spent 7 years living with that guilt. Recently, I married Mr. Blackwood in what was supposed to be a business arrangement. I did not tell him who I was or what I had done. When he discovered the truth, he ended our marriage immediately. He had every right to. I am making this statement public because the Valdez family is now using my actions and our failed marriage to destroy Mr. Blackwood's company through illegal means. I have provided evidence of their crimes to the appropriate authorities. Whatever happens to me, Lucas Blackwood deserves to keep what he has built. He is not responsible for my choices, then or now. I am sorry for the pain I have caused. I accept full responsibility for my actions, and I hope that by telling the truth publicly, I can finally stop being the reason Lucas Blackwood loses everything. I hit send before I could change my mind. Then I turned off my phone and waited for the fallout. The story exploded. Within hours, it was everywhere. The confession, the evidence against Valdez, the whole sordid tale of betrayal and guilt and impossible love. The SEC launched an immediate investigation into the Valdez family. The hostile takeover collapsed. Chen Industries reconsidered their withdrawal, and I became the most hated woman in New York business circles. But Lucas's company was safe. That was all that mattered. 3 days later, I was packing to leave New York, permanently this time, when someone knocked on Julia's door. "I'll get it," Julia called. A moment later, she appeared in the doorway, her eyes wide. Elena? You have a visitor? Tell whoever it is I'm not—" "It's Lucas." My heart stopped. I walked into the living room on shaking legs. Lucas stood by the window, looking tired and rumpled in jeans and a t-shirt, the most casual I'd ever seen him. His eyes were red-rimmed, like he hadn't slept in days. "I'll just be in the bedroom," Julia said, disappearing quickly. Silence stretched between us. "You released that statement," Lucas said finally. "Yes. You destroyed your reputation, made yourself a target, admitted to something that could have legal consequences." "Yes." "Why?" I met his eyes. "Because I owed you the truth, and because I couldn't let you lose everything again, because of my choices. You saved my company. I almost destroyed it. Again. But you didn't. You exposed Valdez. You gave me leverage with Chen. The board is voting to reinstate me as sole CEO tomorrow." He stepped closer. "You fixed what you broke. Some of it. Not all of it." I wrapped my arms around myself. I can't fix 7 years of pain. I can't undo the fact that I betrayed you. I can't make you trust me again. No, he agreed. You can't. The words cut like a knife. But, he continued, you can help me understand why. I looked up sharply. What? I've spent 2 weeks hating you, reliving every moment of our marriage and wondering what was real and what was manipulation. He ran a hand through his hair. And then I read your statement, and I realized something. What? You were 22 years old. Your father was going to lose everything. You found evidence of fraud, and you made a choice to protect someone you loved. His voice softened. I've spent 7 years wanting revenge on you for that choice. But if someone was threatening the people I love, I would have done the exact same thing. Tears filled my eyes. You would have done it better. You would have investigated first, made sure you had all the facts. Maybe. Or maybe I would have panicked and acted on incomplete information, just like you did. He moved closer. Elena, what you did 7 years ago was wrong, but I understand why you did it. And more importantly, I understand that you've been punishing yourself for it ever since. I deserve to be punished. Do you? He cupped my face gently. You leaked documents to stop fraud? Yes. You hurt me in the process. But you also saved 20 businesses, including your father's. You exposed 2 criminals who would have hurt more people. And when you realized I was innocent, you spent 7 years living with that guilt instead of making excuses. That doesn't make it okay. No. But it makes you human. Flawed and afraid and trying to do the right thing, even when the right thing has terrible consequences. I pulled away from his touch. Lucas, you can't forgive me. Not after everything. Why not? Because I don't deserve it. Because I lied to you for months. Because I let you fall in love with someone who wasn't real. That's where you're wrong. He caught my hand. The woman I fell in love with is exactly who you are, someone who protects the people she loves, even at great cost to herself. Someone who's brilliant and stubborn and terrified of being vulnerable. Someone who made a terrible mistake and had been trying to make up for it ever since. Lucas, I'm not saying I'm not angry, I am. I'm furious that you didn't trust me enough to tell me the truth. I'm hurt that you let me find out from Marcus instead of you. He paused, his voice breaking slightly. I'm devastated that you thought I would choose revenge over understanding. Wouldn't you have? 2 weeks ago? Maybe. But I've had time to think. Time to realize that the person I've been hunting for 7 years isn't a monster. She's just someone who made an impossible choice and has been living with the consequences ever since. I shook my head. You're being too kind. You should hate me. I tried. For 2 weeks, I tried to hate you. He stepped closer, so close I could feel the warmth of his body. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw you crying in the living room the night I threw you out. I saw the guilt on your face. The way you've carried this weight for 7 years. And I realized something. What? You've already punished yourself more than I ever could. You've been destroying yourself with guilt since the moment you hit send on those emails. You married me not just for protection, but because you wanted to make it right. To help me succeed this time. That doesn't excuse. I'm not excusing it. I'm explaining it. There's a difference. He took both my hands. Elena, I spent 7 years wanting revenge. And you know what I learned? Revenge doesn't fix anything. It doesn't undo the pain. It doesn't rebuild what was lost. It just creates more damage. So what do you want? I want the truth. All of it. Every detail of what happened 7 years ago. Every reason you made the choices you made. Every moment of guilt and fear and regret. His voice dropped. And then I want to move forward. Forward to what? I don't know yet. Maybe forgiveness. Maybe trust. Maybe, he hesitated, maybe a real marriage, not a business arrangement, not an act for the public, something real. My heart stuttered. You can't mean that. Why not? Because I broke you. Twice. You did. And I broke you by refusing to see the person you really were until it was too late. He brushed a tear from my cheek. We've both made mistakes, Elena. The question is whether we're brave enough to move past them. I don't know if I can. Neither do I. But I think we owe it to ourselves to try. I wanted to say yes. God. I wanted to say yes so badly. But the guilt was still there. The weight of 7 years of lies. Lucas, even if you forgive me, everyone else knows now. Your board, your investors, the whole business world knows what I did. Being with me will damage your reputation. My reputation has survived worse. It'll survive this too. And what about trust? How can you ever trust me again? The same way you learned to trust me. Day by day. Choice by choice. Moment by moment. He pulled me closer. Elena, I'm not asking you to be perfect. I'm asking you to be honest. No more secrets. No more hiding. Just truth. Even when it's hard. What if I mess up again? Then we'll deal with it together. That's what partners do. Partners. I tested the word. Is that what we'd be? I'm hoping for more than that. Eventually. He smiled softly. But we can start with partners and see where it goes. I looked at him. This man I'd destroyed and fallen in love with. This man who was offering me something I didn't deserve. Forgiveness. Understanding. A second chance. I love you, I whispered. I know I don't have the right to say that after everything, but I do. I love you so much it terrifies me. Good. He rested his forehead against mine. Because I love you too. Even though you're the most frustrating, complicated, impossible woman I've ever met. You really mean it? I really mean it. He kissed me softly. So what do you say? Elena Rodriguez. Want to try this again? For real this time? I thought about the past 7 years. The guilt, the running, the fear. And then I thought about the past 3 months. The late-night conversations, the growing trust, the possibility of something real. Yes, I breathed against his lips. But I have one condition. Name it. No more secrets. About anything. If we're doing this, we're doing it with complete honesty. Deal. He kissed me again, deeper this time. Though I should warn you, I'm going to ask you 1,000 questions about those 6 months you disappeared. Every detail. I'll tell you everything. Even the embarrassing parts. Especially the embarrassing parts. If you loved this story of secrets, subscribe now for more billionaire romances that will break your heart and put it back together. Hit that like button if you believe in the power of forgiveness and drop a comment telling us, would you have made the same choice Elena did?